Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. And if you are an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed or just not achieving your goals at the levels that you want to, then definitely send me a message. We'll see if the 21-Day Challenge is a right fit for you. We'll dial in your daily routines and habits. You'll have daily accountability check-ins, weekly deep dive calls to make sure that you're empowered, on fire, and kicking butt, taking names, and getting rid of the limiting beliefs and self-sabotage that has stopped you from achieving your goals in the past, and you'll achieve your single-minded, focused 21-day challenge target. So that's the 21-day challenge. If you're interested, send me a message or an email, chris@beyourgps. You can email me there and let me know if it's for you. We'll see if it's a good fit. It's not for everyone, super intense, but if you think it's for you, send me a message. I'd love to see if you are a good fit for the 21-day challenge. In addition to that, we also are saying thank you to our iTunes review of the week. And who gave us the review of the week this week? I'm going to pull it up on my phone right now. It was none other than Nada Hogan. And Nada Hogan says, "Love this podcast. Chris's podcast interviews are so engaging and entertaining. Once I turn it on, I can't stop listening. Great interviews with great guests. You will not be disappointed." So Nada, thank you so much for giving us that review. And if you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes. And you can go to the iTunes store like that, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on iTunes, and you can leave us a review like that. We love your feedback. We appreciate it. I read all of them. And you can also give us a review on Facebook if that works better for you. So wherever works best, feel free to give us a review, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Now, for the woman of the hour, I'm going to pull up her introduction. It's going to be a lot of fun, definitely. It is the one and only Christina Nicholson. Christina Nicholson is a former TV reporter and anchor who has worked in markets from New York City to Miami. She is still telling stories, but instead of doing it for a newscast, she's doing it to help businesses grow. With her business, Media Maven, she helps entrepreneurs reach thousands, even millions of their ideal customers or clients in minutes instead of months through the power of media without spending big bucks on advertising. Can I get an amen? You can still see her in front of the camera as a host on Lifetime TV, in national commercials on WPTV for her monthly segment, and read her work online in Huff Post Inc. magazine and Fast Company. Christina also has a local lifestyle and family blog, Christina All. She lives in South Florida with her husband and 2 young children, and she is here to rock the house with us. Christina, you ready for this?
I'm ready, Chris.
She's ready. Awesome. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for being here today, Christina. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is radical self-expression. So Christina, how does this concept of radical self-expression play a role in your life?
Well, I feel like I do this all day, every day, not only for myself, but also for clients. I am always promoting myself as an expert in my industry, and I'm always telling my clients to do the same, because that's the best way to get exposure, to become known, liked, and trusted, is promoting yourself as an expert in your industry. So I think that's as radical expression as it gets, right?
That's right. It's like if you don't promote yourself, nobody's going to know about you. You have to be the one who toots your own horn, who acknowledges yourself, who, promotes. And I think that a lot of people in the social media world, they're promoting, but they don't know how to do it, which is why I'm super grateful to have you on, because they think that they're doing things right, but it's just not producing them results. And we're here to teach them a little bit more on how to start producing results, how to get their message out to more people, how to be expressed and self-expressed to the point where it makes a difference in people's lives, grows their business, grows their income, gives them the lifestyle that they desire. So I'm super excited to dive into that. And for anyone who doesn't know about you, let's give them a brief overview about what you're working on. I read your intro, but let's go into a little bit more detail than that.
Yeah, so I'll make a long story short. My background is in TV. I was a reporter and anchor for 10 years, on the receiving end of receiving dozens and dozens of pitches a day from publicists wanting their clients coverage, from business owners wanting to get themselves coverage. And it was very clear that people pitching the media just had no idea how the media worked. what a newsroom was like, what our meetings were like, what we did to put together a story for the newscast. So I left the industry after having my second child, and I worked at a PR agency for 6 months. I didn't like a lot of what I saw at PR agencies because, again, you're surrounded by people who are over-promising things they can't promise. Clients get disappointed. They don't know any better. They're trusting you. Right. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this my way. I started my own agency a little over 3 years ago now. And I work with business owners who are probably doing, at least $500,000 a year. They have a budget to put a few $1,000s a month into their marketing. But then I was getting approached by the solopreneur and, like a local blogger, people who really wanted to grow their businesses, but they didn't have the budget for a PR agency. So I said, you know what? Why don't you pay me a fraction of that? And I will just tell you exactly what I would do for you if you were a client, and we'll do it step by step. I'll hold your hand through the process and you just execute it. And they said, okay. So I've been doing that in addition to my agency, and I've been helping the solopreneur get tons of media exposure, local and national exposure on podcasts, TV, print, online, and they are growing their businesses.
Wow, that's incredible. I love it. I love how you saw the need and you're like, hey, I can add value to you. So let's figure out a way to do it that works for you, that works for me. And now you're serving this new niche in the market, which is super awesome. So I'm sure things weren't always this awesome and, bubbly and profitable and, everything that's going really well in your life right now. So let's go back to the journey of being in the news and transitioning through those periods. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome to become successful at media? What does it take to be a successful media maven? Okay,
so I was seeing things from two totally different perspectives. When I was in news, it was all about meeting the deadlines. So many times it wasn't about waiting for what was best. It was whatever I got first. When I came in at 9:30 in the morning and I had a story at 5, like the 5 o'clock news does not wait for you. It starts at 5 o'clock. So if you are not ready with everything wrapped up in a big, pretty bow, you were in trouble because you had to get things done at 5. And so translate that to public relations. I understand that. So I work with my clients to give them everything on a silver platter. Whatever the journalist needs, we wrap it all up and give it straight to them. Because one, that increases your chances of getting coverage. And 2, it also gives the journalist a reason to keep inviting you back for more because you're making their job easier. And I think, you asked about challenges. I think for me, it has been explaining the value of what this media exposure means. So many people, they want a quick fix. Or they'll ask me, whether it be the solopreneur or the bigger business owner, they'll say, okay, well, where are you going to get me? I'm going to give you this money, and where are you going to get me? And what's going to happen after? And a lot of PR agencies will just straight up lie and tell you what you want to hear. And I always tell them, well, I can't tell you that because that's the truth. You're not paying for this coverage. You're earning it. I don't control what goes on TV or what goes in Oprah's magazine. But I do know how to put together a good pitch. And that's what we'll do for you. And if people see it and they like it, they'll probably turn into customers or clients. But nobody can predict what's going to happen. I use the analogy of going to a doctor and you're sick. That's like saying, okay, doctor, when are you going to make me feel better? And how much better am I going to feel? And what's going to happen after that? Like, we can only use our time, our expertise, everything that we've done that has worked in the past to help you. And I feel like there's a lot of education in what I do. I'm constantly telling people this. And hey, I understand where they're coming from. You're giving somebody a lot of money. You want to know what you're going to get out of it. But the truth of the matter is advertising's the same. You spend even more money advertising and you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, you're going to get that placement guaranteed, but you don't know how people are going to respond to it. So it's a challenge educating people on the process and telling them, look, this works. You just have to be patient. But I think the bigger challenge that I'm realizing as my business grows and as I'm trying to work with more solopreneurs is that the small business owner, and it frustrates me, and I know it's bad to say, but I was that small business owner 3 years ago. they don't want to spend any time or money on anything. They just want to grow like that. And they don't want to invest. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. And I can tell my story of how my business started skyrocketing when I put $15,000 on a credit card to invest in a business coach. I didn't have $15,000, but I knew my income was like this. It was super inconsistent month to month. And I wanted to figure out a way to not stress about where my next leads were going to come from, where I was going to get money, 6 months out. So I said, let me invest in a business coach. I don't have this money. I'm going to put it on my credit card and I'm going to make payments, but I can't afford not to do something because me doing, what I've been doing these last couple of years isn't working. So, I mean, it's working, but it's not where I want to be. Right. So I speak with so many solopreneurs and they're so afraid to spend money. They're even afraid to spend $350. I brought my prices down that low to a payment of $350 a month. And they tell me they see the value, but they're so scared to spend money. And I tell them blatantly, I'm like, if you're afraid to spend $350 to grow your business on something will help you, then you're not going to be good at business. You're never going to grow your business because you have to be willing to take risks and take chances and get outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's one of the challenges is just explaining to these small business owners what you need to do to grow a business. If it were easy and comfortable, everybody would do it, but it's not. So, and I think it's frustrating for me too, because I see myself in that person, from 3 years ago. Totally. And I'm like, no, I understand what you're saying, but look, this works. Let me show you. And it's they won't let me. And I'm like, no, it works.
Well, that's what's cool about your journey is you have a testimony of what you've done. And I think that's the most powerful place to stand in. Number one is the proof is in your pudding, you're a product of the product, so to speak. And then you also help your clients do the same. So you have testimonials and stories to share. I think a lot of people don't utilize that in terms of persuading their potential prospects or clients for the sale. It's like, hey, what have you gone through? What of your story can you use? What stories of people who can you use? Because people really resonate with stories and resonate with other people who have gone through similar situations. So I think that's really awesome. And I'm grateful to hear that you're helping all these solopreneurs. I'm grateful that we're diving into this topic of how people are unwilling to invest at $350. It's like, come on, you're going to have to risk something. You're going to have to, take a chance, take a bet on yourself, because in life, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is truly guaranteed. At the end of the day, things could happen, war could break out, whatever, the economy could crash. We have no idea what can happen. So it's all about just doing what you can with what you have and taking that next step. And it sounds like you're a really great next step for people who are looking to get the exposure and to grow their business. So let's start diving into how it actually works. When people work with you, what really happens? They come to you. What's next?
Okay, so I'm going to use my media mentoring clients as an example because I think that's where your audience is at. So I can give you specific examples. I have people who come to me. Basically, they want to grow their business. So you need to be known, liked, and trusted. More people need to know about you. So again, when people give me the I don't want to spend money excuse, or they say, well, let me make some money first and then I'll hire you. And it's like, no. You need to hire me to make money. It's backwards. You're not going to make money if you don't know what to do. So I had a client who came to me. She was she's a dietitian in San Diego. And she has a local blog. So she's a mommy blogger. She's got 5 kids at home and she wanted to grow that business. So she needed to reach more people for people to know about her, to work with her, right? So we said, okay, so what can we do to get you exposure? It's back to school time. So let's do a pitch on what to pack your kids as they head back to school. And she wanted to reach moms, and she works with picky eaters. And so it was perfect, right? So we use the back to school angle because you have to be timely. If you want to get coverage somewhere, you have to look at the calendar and think, why should the media do this story now? So that's why back to school worked. We did packing the lunch boxes because we were focused on outlets that mom watched. So a mom is going to watch morning TV. That's their audience. So she pitched a local morning TV station in San Diego wrote a pitch, sent it to me. I tweaked it a little bit for her. I gave her the contact information of who she needed to reach out to. And then she was on air less than 3 days later. It happened that fast.
Wow.
And she was on for 5 minutes. She had a table, beautiful setup of the lunch boxes, the food, all of that. Her website was across the bottom of the screen for all to see, off and on during that 5 minutes. And that segment with a script and a link back to her website was put on the TV station's website. And one of the food brands that she used on that segment actually want to work with her more. So she got a brand deal from being on that segment. But that's just an example of so many things. One, you're introduced to, I don't know how many tens of thousands of moms probably saw that. They all know who you are if they didn't know who you were the day before. Then you get the SEO value because you're getting that link back on a popular website. People who didn't see it online, maybe they see it on the site. So then you're getting all those eyeballs. She's getting immediate ROI because she's getting those brand deals with some of that food that she featured on the segment. And then she's taking that media and promoting it on her platforms. She's putting the logo on her website and marketing materials. She's sharing that website link to her social media. She's sharing the video to her social media. So if people didn't know she was on TV, they know because she told them, which snowballs and leads to more media. Wow. So that's an example pretty much from start to finish of what we do. And that's just one example of one media hit, but it's pretty much wash, rinse, and repeat.
That's awesome. And is there like too much media exposure? Do you think like people would do this?
Never.
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 Is
No.
it okay? So when is it too soon to do media exposure?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this because I feel like a lot of business owners, especially the new ones, they think, oh, it's too soon. Like there's this myth that you need to have a big brand and make a lot of money to be worthy of getting in the media. And that's not true. If you are ready to trade money for service or trade money for product, then it is not too soon. So many people, and this is a real excuse somebody gave me once, says, no, I can't work with you because I'm redoing my website and it's not ready yet. And I said, would you say that to a customer or a client that you can't work with them because you're redoing their website? And they were like, no. I was like, then don't say that to me. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I had a client, this is probably my most successful campaign with a client. Two guys, they started a fitness app and it was a side hustle and they were not making any money. They had full-time jobs. This was something they did on the side. They were trying to build, not one penny earned. I got them coverage on TV in Washington, D.C., which is a top 10 market, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, women's running, men's fitness, Runner's World, which was their number one goal, and on the Today Show. I mean, they reached over 3 million people on the Today Show, and they did not make, up until that point, one penny in their business. So the only way it's ever too soon is if for some reason you're not ready to do business. And not having a website is not a reason. It's an excuse people make because they don't want to step outside of their comfort zone. If you are ready to make money in your business, then you are ready for this.
Wow, that's beautiful, beautiful. So in terms of being able to pitch these different places, what do we need to have prepared to have an effective pitch?
Okay, that's a great question. So you don't want to be overly promotional. And I think that is the biggest mistake people make. People, they're so into their businesses and what they do that they think they're really newsworthy when the truth is they're not. Nobody wants to give you a free commercial. That's not the media's job. You may want one, but that's not what you're going to get. You have to be newsworthy. So for example, the dietitian that I talked about, she wasn't going on TV saying, I am a dietitian and this is what I do. And you should hire me because ABC. Instead, she said, what do I know? How can I offer value? It's back to school time. Moms are packing lunches. She had statistics on the problem with picky eaters and heading back to school and eating at lunch. So she proved that this was a problem that she had a solution for. And by default, she's getting promoted as an expert in her industry. And people may reach out to her for services. She may get a brand deal like she did with the food. With the guys who were on the Today Show, they did not earn that coverage because I sent a pitch for their running app. There's a million fitness apps out there. Me telling you about a fitness app isn't going to do anything. So what I did was one of the guys was a personal trainer, and the other one was a guy who used to be 400 pounds, and then he ended up being 200 pounds. And that was like the catalyst for him starting this running app. So what I pitched was his story. Look at this guy's weight loss transformation. After this, he created a running app. Like, it's just a cool story. It's not just here's a running app. It's this guy lost half his body weight. And that was the story. So by sharing his story, by default, we're promoting his app. So I think that's something people need to keep in mind is you need to think of a story, not something that promotes you. Because nobody wants to promote you. They want to tell a story to their audience, whoever's watching or reading or listening. And when you are coming up with that story to pitch, you want to make sure you're pitching the right outlet. People get excited about media coverage that sometimes they forget what the goal is. And the goal is to make money, right? You want to profit off of this publicity. So you want to make sure you're reaching out to the right people. So let's use the guys with the fitness app, for example. On the Today Show, they reached 3.6 million people. That's a lot of people. And that's a great media coverage because everybody's heard of the Today Show. That logo is very recognizable. That's great for credibility, for authority. So yes, that helps them. But 3.6 million people, it's safe to say, not all of them are runners.
Right.
I'm sure some of those people hate running.
Yep.
So your conversion rate, say these many people watch it, then a fraction go to your website, then a fraction of those people turn into customers. That's going to be a lower conversion rate than when I got them in Runner's World. Now, that print magazine had a circulation of maybe 700,000. But I think it's safe to say that everybody reading Runner's World likes running.
Right.
So more people are going to go to your website. And then from there, more people are going to turn into customers or clients because that's more niched.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a bigger ROI from that. So the starting point is getting clear on your goal and who you want to be in front of. And then you use some of those those storytelling strategies that I talked about to come up with the pitch to get in front of that audience, something that audience would want to see or hear or watch.
Awesome. I love it. And it's like the aspect of the story is so important too, because without that story, you're just promoting. You're just like saying, hey, put me on your show. I want to do this. But when you come with how can I add value to your audience, and you've already thought that out in the pitch saying, hey, it's back to school time, or I know you have these types of listeners or watchers or viewers or audience, and this would add value. This would solve this problem for them. And I have this story about it, or I have this way to share the information that's unique. Then when you come with that, then the person who you're pitching to is much more likely to be receptive to that offer.
Exactly. And you'll already stand out because let me tell you, most of the pitches are terrible and it's all everybody just saying, look at me, tell everybody about me. So you will stand out if you actually know what you're doing when you pitch a member of the media.
That's awesome. I'd love to do like a hypothetical. We have a lot of life coaches, business coaches who tune into the show. What would be something that they could do to like get into the media? Like, how can they prepare themselves or create a story from their skills?
Okay, so the lowest hanging fruit for somebody in the coaching industry, like a life coach or a business coach, is to be an expert. So don't look for that feature. Like, unless you're Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, you're not going to get that feature that you want. What you can do is always offer your expertise and get quoted in as many places as you can because you have that expertise. So I suggest doing this. You pay attention to the news cycle and what's happening because you can try to find a way to relate your brand and your business and your expertise to what's happening. So for example, I'm in a mastermind with a guy who teaches a lot of people about selling on Amazon and branding yourself in a certain way to sell more products on Amazon. And Amazon just reached $1 trillion, right? They're $1 trillion business. So I told him, you need to jump on that. Everybody's covering it. Google Amazon and filter the results for the last 24 hours. Email every journalist and say, hey, I know you're covering this. If you're looking for any kind of different angles, this is my name. This is what I do. I'm more than happy to talk to you about this. And that's it. So just get quoted in a variety of places for your expertise. And then you'll start racking up those logos. You'll start racking up those links and that SEO. And then you share that coverage on your platforms, because don't assume a lot of people are going to see it. You have to do PR on your PR.
Totally.
Have that media page on your website. Just get it in an evergreen queue on your Facebook, on your Twitter, and let people know that you're being featured in the media. Because when your followers know you're being featured in the media, that sets you apart from your competition.
Yeah.
More people are going to work with you. Even if they haven't seen one bit of media coverage, them just knowing that you're getting it lets them know you're a true expert, you are ahead of the game, and you are somebody that they want to work with.
Wow, it's powerful, powerful, powerful. So in terms of being able to grow our brands with this media coverage, I think a question that our audience might have is, like, what's the fastest way to be successful with this? What's the fastest way to, really execute effectively with this? So I think we mentioned that coming to you, working with you, that's definitely one of the fastest ways. But in terms of like not messing up, not making any other mistakes, is there anything else that you would recommend people avoiding or looking out for in this process of pitching? And I think a common places like Haro help a reporter out. You can go there and find different reporters to pitch to as well. So that may or may not be something in your recommended repertoire. But I know that there's different tools and things that we can use to be able to reach the people who are trying to reach. I also love the last 24 hours of hot news topics. So other things to avoid or resources to use to be successful with this.
Okay, so you brought up Haro. I like Haro a lot. Haro is easy because you don't have to get creative. You don't have to think of a story. You just read that email that comes in your inbox and you reply to it. I will tell you that Haro has gone downhill a lot since it was acquired by a different business.
Okay.
Many times people are responding to Haro's and somebody's responding and saying, oh, I'm selling advertising. So if you want that coverage, you need to pay me this.
Oh.
That's against their rules, but it's still happening.
Right.
Watch out for that. And that also happens just when you pitch for editorial coverage anyway. People are not responding to ads the way they used to. We are fast forwarding them. We're using our pop-up blocker. So they're hiding the ads in the content, and sometimes they're not forthcoming about that. So they get you excited about coverage, and then they tell you, oh yeah, you're going to have to pay for that. I don't suggest paying for it because, one, you want to save your money. You don't want to be spending a whole bunch of money on ads. And two, ads are not as effective as earned media. People ignore advertising. Even when it is disguised to look like it's earned editorial coverage, legally, they have to say somewhere it's advertising. So for example, Chris, if you told all of your listeners and all of your viewers, Christina paid me $5,000 to be here, they would think, oh, well, we don't even really know if Christina's an expert. She's just there because she paid Chris to be there. They would think of me as somebody who just had a lot of money. Who cares if she knows anything? But Chris asked me to be here because he knows I'm an expert in my industry. So what that does is that tells your audience that you are endorsing me. Your audience knows, likes, and trusts you. So if you say, listen to Christina, that means something to them. That's like a referral. So that's why you don't want to pay for things. So just be mindful that people are going to approach you with that. You can turn it down because there are ways to earn coverage for free without spending any money. So I think that's just something to be mindful of. I don't know if that's something, that's just a tip. It's not, don't do this or do this. That's just something that may pop up. So just something to be mindful of. Don't think you're not ready. I know I already said this, but people really, they make excuses on why they don't want to do it. And do be consistent. This stuff takes time. So you need to be patient. It's not like advertising where you spend a bunch of money and you're guaranteed to be there. You have to be consistent. You have to follow up. Most of what you're going to get is going to be on the follow-up. Remember, these inboxes are full of dozens and dozens, hundreds of pitches. So don't assume because you're not hearing back that somebody's not interested. Instead, you just need to follow up. I suggest changing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what's a follow-up tempo that you would recommend?
That's good. That's a good question. I suggest changing your pitch every 2 to 3 weeks. And when you follow up, really, it's just, I use the tool Boomerang. It's an extension in Chrome. And so I always set it for a week after I send an email. And then sometimes it's, I'm just bumping this up to ensure I'm not lost in your inbox. And then I copy what I sent before underneath that. Or it's, what can I do to increase chances of coverage is something that I ask. And remember, you want to be timely when you send these pitches. So if 2 to 3 weeks have passed, you probably need a new pitch anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd say follow up every 4 days to 7 days. Okay. And after 2 to 3 weeks, if you're not having any luck, then you need to switch the pitch anyway, because your pitch should be timely.
Wow, that's powerful. And I think it's so important that no matter what you're doing, whether it's sales, whether it's getting media coverage, that follow-up is really what's going to determine whether or not you get through, because people are so inundated with noise, with so much distractions. So if you keep popping up on people's radar, they're going to start to notice you. And I think that awareness and this thing takes time. I think that's so critical, and definitely we want to highlight it. So in terms of if there's an average to expect, about how long would it take to start getting some results in these things? Would it take like a month, couple months? What would you say? What do you recommend for your clients?
It's so hard to say. Like, that's something that you can't even guess. I mean, right. I've had clients who they've gotten coverage within the first few days of us working together. I've had clients where it's taken, I mean, I've never had a client where I haven't earned anything for them in 1 month, but I've had a client, their number one goal, we'll use the fitness app, was Runner's World. And they didn't land that until about a year after we started working together. Now, we started pitching them from the beginning. Right. But again, we were switching up the pitch and the angle, trying out different writers with different pitches. And those glossy magazines, they work 3 months in advance. So even though it was, let me look at my calendar, even though it was in August when that came out, they're putting that August issue together in April or May. So really, they said yes to the pitch in April or May, but we didn't see it until August. Wow. So that's why a lot of PR agencies, they work in at least 6-month contracts, because it does take some time to craft the pitch, to follow up. And then if you're in those long lead outlets, then it's going to take a lot of time for you to actually see it. I mean, I know Oprah, right, her famous annual list of favorite things for Christmas, that comes out in November or December. She's just about done collecting everything for that in July and August. Yeah. So it does take time, but it is so effective when it works. I mean, really, all you need is one media hit to like blow your business out of the water. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. In terms of the evolution of media, how do you see things evolving in terms of the landscape of people being able to get media coverage? What do you see changing as time goes on? Oh my gosh, so much. Okay, so I talked about pay to play. More things are becoming pay to play just because these outlets are not selling advertising like they used to, because we're ignoring it. And a lot of it is just because we're so connected to our phones that things are just different. So pay to play is looking a lot different than it used to. I'll give you an example. On the morning shows, on the Today Show and Good Morning America, once a week they do this Steals and Deals and Deals and Steals segments where they'll show you something cool, like here's this pen and it is originally $10. We knocked it down to $5, so you can get this pen for $5. Well, that $5 doesn't go to the people who make the pen. A portion of it goes to the show, a portion of it goes to the host, and then a portion of it goes to you. So that's like a pay-to-play situation that doesn't look pay-to-play, that you don't know about. And that's what you're seeing more and more of. You're also seeing more of what I call the new media, which is influencer marketing. And depending on what influencer you work with, that's also advertising. You know, like if I sent this pen to Kim Kardashian and I said, hey, Kim, can you post this on your Instagram and tell people to buy it? that's probably going to cost me $1 million because when she posts things, people buy them.
Yeah.
So depending on the size of your influencer, you're going to be paying them to post about your product. But it works because, again, it's advertising that doesn't look like advertising. And then I also think, especially for people as they start more businesses, which we're seeing, I think podcasts are huge. Yeah. More and more people want to be on podcasts to reach their audience. And I can tell you, I was on a podcast and within a few weeks, I could track $26,000 to my bottom line from people who emailed me or called me from listening to me on that podcast. Wow. So when you think of media, traditional media is changing to where, podcasts are entering the media umbrella. They're under the media umbrella now. And then we also have influencers. So they may not be a form of media, but they're pushing out content that people are following. So there's so much gray area and there are so many blurred lines. There's also contributors. So, I know I've written for Inc., Fast Company, Huff Post, Thrive Global, lots of these media outlets, they want to keep pumping out content because so many people are reading content online and it's just they have this appetite for more. So they'll take you as a contributor, which is good for you because you're seen as an expert in your industry, so people want to hire me as their media mentor, but then there's also this other person, but I write for business publications and this other person doesn't. That makes me stand out. That makes me look like an expert in my industry. And this other person, all of a sudden decreased in value compared to me. So if you can get those roles as a contributor to write about your industry and your niche, that's something else that I would suggest. But these are all things that are just popping up that are, brand new just in the last few years.
What's the difference between pitching to be a contributor and pitching to get featured? Okay,
that's a great question. So many good questions today. Okay, so when you pitch to be featured, you're probably just getting a quote in there. Somebody's writing the article, they have their topic, or maybe you're pitching them the idea, and you're just offering value in that article. When I wrote for Inc. magazine, I wrote 4 articles a month for them. Wow. And I would come up with the topic, an editor would approve it, and then I would reach out to people and get quotes from them. So it's almost like you are turning into the media. You are a member of the media, and you are the journalist, and you are reaching out to people. And let me tell you, something I liked about that was you are building relationships with people in your industry that you probably wouldn't have an opportunity to build a relationship with otherwise. People get excited about being featured in the media. So I built great relationships with people by sending them an email or a tweet saying, hey, I write for Inc. and I'm doing an article about this. I'd love to talk to you about it. And then they jump at the chance and I talk to them. So it's good for that, but it's also good because it establishes you as an expert in your industry because you are seen as an authority figure writing for a prominent outlet. So one is definitely a lot more work. Writing 4 articles a week for an outlet is a lot of work and it's time consuming. That's why I only did it for a year and a half. And then I stopped and then I did some other things for some other outlets. But being featured, I like being featured too, because it's easier to get those link backs. When you are a contributor, you can't promote yourself. Right? You can't link back to your content. So you're still promoting yourself, but you're doing it in 2 different ways. And both ways, you have to think of it as the stock market. It's not an overnight success. You're just going to see slow growth over time because it's organic. And you have to be patient with the process and just trust that it works if you're consistent with it.
Yeah. What have you found really works well in terms of executing long-term and consistency? How do people keep it top of mind? Is there any kind of, system that you recommend using to remember, to generate these? Maybe I'm sure working with you have your own templates and stuff, but is there any more insight you can give into that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I go over this in my media mentoring program. It's in the introduction because I understand that you're wearing 3 hats. You're doing your own servicing. You're doing your own sales. You're doing your own marketing. You don't have a lot of time. So I actually take you inside and you look at my calendar and how I time block things. And when you time block and when you batch, you get so much more done. And so when it comes to starting to act as if you are your own publicist, which it took me too long to do. Like, I think everybody should treat themselves as a client. You need to practice what you preach. When I started my business, I wasn't doing that. I was so focused on helping my clients that I wasn't helping myself. And it's like, what's the saying about the shoemaker and like his kids doesn't have shoes because he's making shoes for everybody else, whatever it is, something like that. You can't do that. You have to treat yourself as a client. And that's why I'm still on TV today. How could I tell you I'm going to get you on TV if I can't even get myself on TV? So you need to take time, if you're going to be your own publicist, to treat yourself as a client. I'm a publicist and I am my client. And during this time, during this day, this is what I have to do.
So yeah, what I hear is time blocking those activities of pitch generation, pitch follow-up, and being able to get ourselves onto these newsworthy media opportunities.
Exactly. And what I like about Boomerang is that you don't really need to schedule your follow-up. I mean, you can, like say it's every Wednesday at 1, you just set your Boomerang to come back every Wednesday at 1, and it's there. It's a great reminder.
Wow. Beautiful. So I'm sure we'll put links to that in the show notes and all that so people can discover about that. How important do you think it is to work with as a group to be able to succeed as in the media, like in terms of having contacts and groups of people, or is it easy to do it on your own? Like, what would you recommend about that?
No, I mean I work. It's funny because I feel like there's definitely this problem with women specifically where they don't like to work together. I can tell you some of the best successes and luck and referrals and everything that I've had have come from other people just like me who have public relations agencies, who have media mentoring programs like mine. I mean, I'm on Voxer. I'm going back and forth with 4 women almost every day. They do exactly the same thing that I do. I help get their clients featured. They help pitch my clients. So definitely collaborate because everybody has different media contacts. They all have different journalism contacts. It can only help you. Now, I have reached out to people in the industry and they don't want to work with me. They feel like I'm their competition and they want nothing to do with me. There's one woman, she's based in my hometown, does publicity, had a client in South Florida where I live. And I said, hey, I have tons of contacts down here. Do you want me to pitch your client? Like, I was going to, I'm not charging you. I'm helping you get your client free coverage. And she was not having it. Like, some people, they see competition and they don't see collaboration. And at the end of the day, they're only hurting themselves and their clients and the people around them. So I definitely believe in collaborating with the right people who understand that, only good things can come from it and you will grow your business that way.
Wow. What has been one of the biggest lessons you've learned, aside from like media coverage that we've been talking about, in growing your business? With some wisdom.
100% invest.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a scary thing. I don't have $15,000 to put on my credit card, but I know I've been in the same position for a year and a half. And if I don't invest, then I'm not going to grow. There's only so much free content you can soak up on the internet. You need like direct step-by-step guidance. And I can tell you, so I invested that $15,000. Since then, I've invested probably $40,000 because I can, because that $15,000 took me to where I needed to go to spend more money. And now I know I'm just going to keep on investing my money to even make more of it. So for people who are afraid of spending money, yes, I know it's scary. But if you want to grow your business, you have to. You have to pay people who have been where you want to go and pay them to teach you how to get there. There's really no other way.
So one thing I see about you, Christina, is you're really confident and certain about what you're sharing with us and your expertise. What kind of personal work did you have to do on yourself to get to this point?
I'm just starting that, Chris. No, I really am. And it's funny because I've had this conversation with a couple people that I mastermind with. I feel like, and tell me if you feel the same, when your business reaches a certain point, then you start thinking about mindset. I never thought about mindset my first few years in business. And it was really just like, okay, I got to do this. And now I got to do this. And I got to do this. And then I do this. And then it got to a point where I think I was getting stressed, or I was setting, not that I was setting my goals too high, but I was too hard on myself for not achieving certain goals. And then I started reading books like The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I started meeting life coaches and hearing so much about mindset, right? Like all these millionaires and billionaires, they talk about their mindset. So maybe there is something to this. So I've started working on that a lot more, more recently. I really think it's something that you don't start with, but it's something that creeps up as you scale your business. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on what industry you're in, because in the coaching industry, like mindset is like, duh, like it's so like a lot of people are preaching it. A lot of people are talking about mindset in the podcasting and Facebook communities. It's a really popular thing, and I think a lot of people create content based around mindset. But in other kind of outside industries that aren't so, coaching related, then let's say people who are doing Amazon and stuff, selling on Amazon, last thing that they think about is mindset. They're like, I just want to make money. I just want to get this formula right. I want to get the system right. I want to make it produce money. And then as time goes on, they're like, why am I still at this point in my business? I feel like I've been here for too long. And so they start looking to, it's not just working on the business, but outside of the business, not in the business, but on the business. And then they say, oh, well, if the business is having challenges, I wonder who's at, I don't want to say blame or at fault, but who's the source of that? And then they start looking at themselves.
Exactly. And I find too, and maybe this is why I'm getting into more mindset stuff as I do more media mentoring with a smaller business owner. I find it is so much easier to sell a $3,500 a month retainer to a bigger business than it is a $350 a month payment to a smaller business owner. And when I went into it, I thought $350, this is nothing. Everybody's going to buy this. But it's not. And it's because of the mindset. Yeah. It's because these successful business owners, they understand what I'm doing and they understand the value that it brings to their business. But the solopreneur who's so afraid to spend $350, their mindset isn't there. And their mindset, it's just not there. And that's why it's so much harder to work with a smaller business owner than a business owner. And I just had this epiphany after I started doing more mindset work. Like, I got to talk to these people totally different than I do the bigger business owner. Like, it's very psychological with the solopreneur because their mindset is just so different. Yeah, it's incredible how there's different sticking points depending on where people are at in their journey, different pain points, different things to solve. Whereas, let's say a big business owner may not, they may not think that they have enough time. The smaller business owner has maybe more time, but not as much capital, and so they're like, well, I can't do it. So everyone has their own challenges that they're dealing with. I think it's really cool. So that we're discussing this and diving into it and uncovering the layers. So in terms of the final words of wisdom about, really getting media placement, reaching the people that we want to reach, and growing our business, growing our income, what would you have to say, Christina? Couple things. If you don't promote yourself, who will? Nobody else is going to do it. So don't be shy. You have to get out there and promote yourself. And no, it's not too early. If you're ready to make money in your business, you need to be known, liked, and trusted. This is the fastest, most efficient way to become known, liked, and trusted. And that's who people do business with. So start promoting yourself so you can actually build a business.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then what do you see on your horizon in your future in terms of growing your business, the impact that you want to make in the world?
Okay, so I have my agency. I have my team that helps me run my agency. That's going to continue to grow. And then I want to grow my media mentoring program a lot bigger. I've had great success with the business owners in there. They're earning great coverage. They're showing up for our mentoring calls. They're sending me their pitches. They're landing their placements, and it's super exciting to see. So I want to work with more solopreneurs who are driven and ready to grow their business.
What's your favorite part about having these solopreneurs be successful in their media coverage?
Their reaction, they're like shocked because again, so many of them, they're like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm not big enough. I'm not worthy. They're going to, like, I don't understand. Like maybe it's just, you look at people on TV and you think, oh, that would never be me. Like it's really easy for it to be you. You just need to know what to do. And then when I tell them what to do and it actually works, it's like, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to be on TV. Oh my gosh. Like just seeing their reaction to something they thought was impossible to it being possible, like 2 days later, I'm like, see, I told you.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for what you do. And I know that there's people in our audience who want to stay connected with you and take the next step with you on their journey of getting more coverage and sharing their message with the world, making that impact and gaining more income. So how do they stay connected with you? What do we want them to do next, Christina?
Okay, so I would love for them to go through a free course to get the step-by-step guidance they need to start implementing everything we've talked about. They can do that at mediamavenandmore.com/publicity. And they can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Christina All Day. I'm very active there. I respond to everything. So I hope to see you there at Christina All Day. But yeah, my site's mediamavenandmore.com, and there's tons of free resources there.
Awesome. Christina, thank you for helping people get their message out and make the impact in the world. And thank you for coming from a place of just being in the newsroom, not being fulfilled, finding your passion, finding what really fills you up and how you can really be of most service to the world. Thank you for growing through your challenges and your own stuff so that you can really serve as many people as possible to be your greatest possible self and inspire people around you to do the same. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have the best day ever, and we'll see you very soon, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.